Welcome everybody, my name is Trent and we're here for a very special episode of LE Live. We're talking all things New York, the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, and I absolutely love New York. I went there last November and just adored it, and I'm here joined by my very special colleague and co-host, Sonia. Welcome.
Hi Trent, thank you. Hi everyone at home watching, thank you for tuning in. As Trent said, we're talking all things New York, and it's actually one of my favourite cities too, Trent.
Cosmopolitans, pizza, you name it.
Definitely, It's where the Cosmo was created, right? Yep. So for those at home today who've been to New York or who want to go to New York and just want to share your experiences and tips with us, please send through us and we'll read them out throughout the show. We're also joined today by some special co-hosts with us who have recently been to New York and who want to share their tips with us as well. So we've got Ashley, who recently travelled there. Welcome.
Three Cosmos in, Ashley.
Yeah.
And we've also got Mark as well, who's tucked into a bit of pizza there. But Mark's going to be talking a little bit about an upcoming offer on Luxury Escapes, which we're going to try and help you get there as well. So feel free to comment, but we're also going to be launching a prize. So Mark, would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely, and we've just announced that we've launched our very first New York deal of the year. It's to the Renaissance by Marriott Hotel in the very heart of Times Square. So it's 7 nights in New York, $2,000. You can go during summer, you can go during winter.
So right in the heart of Times Square.
Very heart. You walk outside, the big screens, you get breakfast included as well, which is a rarity. Yeah. And I suggest in New York, you want to fill up on breakfast so you don't have to worry about it because the best food's really in the evening. So have you ever been to some of the Times Square institutions for dinner?
I have, yes. I think it's a bit of a, it's a must-do really when you travel to New York. Yeah, you kind of get caught up in the lights of it all, and it really is as great as it looks like on the movies and on the TVs.
I mean, Times Square for me, as I said, I was there in November, and I was actually there coincidentally for the election, which was an absolute coincidence. I wasn't, following around the campaign, the Trump campaign around the states or anything. But yeah, coincidentally, I was there in Times Square, and it was just absolute mayhem. But to kind of, you grow up watching all these movies as a kid, and you see the lights and the sounds of New York, and you got the comedy shows and Broadways. It was definitely an experience. But that was my first time, and looking at going back this year. And what about you, Ash? How was your first time?
It was incredible. It was very cold. I went in March, but it was amazing because not everybody was out and about, and you could get into all the shows that you wanted to, maybe some of the restaurants that would normally be booked out. We got to go to, which was great. Aladdin, go see it, definitely.
Aladdin? That's actually touring Melbourne at the moment.
Yes,
I was trying to see Book of Mormon, but the trying to get in was ridiculous. So I didn't get to see a Broadway show, but hopefully this year. What about you? You've seen a few, Mark.
I've seen quite a few. School of Rock was incredible. Tried to get into Hamilton. If anyone knows Hamilton, it's by the same crew that did In the Heights from a number of years ago. Impossible to get in unless you have $1,000.
It's been sold out for months in advance, isn't it?
So I'm just listening to the soundtrack on Spotify, but if that ever comes to Melbourne, it's definitely one to see.
And one thing I do love about New York is, as I said before, it is the city that truly never sleeps. But we're talking about food, and what I've noticed a trend is a lot of Australians are going over there and opening these cafes that are absolutely killing it. It's so great to see. They're serving exotic things like flat whites and smashed avos. They've never heard of it.
Exotic to the Americans,
so
you mean?
Exotic.
Yes,
they're absolutely loving it. So that's over in, I spent a little bit of time in Brooklyn and Williamsburg, which was very, very cool. Kind of reminded me a little bit about Northside Melbourne, but yeah, certainly got to venture out there as well.
I think there's a coffee house called Flinders Lane or Top of Collins somewhere in the East Village.
Yeah, two Melbourne guys have just opened up. Yeah. They've taken the they've taken the love of coffee over to New York because, let's face it, you can't get a good coffee in America, really, can you?
Have they discovered magic yet?
They haven't discovered magic, I don't think.
I think that's...
No. For those viewers out there who don't know what a magic coffee is, Trent is
I think it's especially in Melbourne, it's a bit of a funny one around the office, but I think it's like a double ristretto with a 3/4 latte or something like that. But yeah, thanks for throwing to me for that one, Mark.
So Mark, sorry, just going back to the deal just for a moment. So you said that it's valid during summer, which people might kind of question whether it's the right time to go or not. But I personally, I've been there during summer a few times, and I think the great thing about being there, other than it is hot, but most of the New Yorkers actually take their holidays during July, or during summer. And so you've got pretty much the city to yourself.
Absolutely.
You can get to all the shows that you normally wouldn't be able to get into, like the one that you waited to get into. Restaurants are really easy to get into, so you're not having to wait in queues, and that's a really big positive.
Yeah, I mean, New Yorkers are not used to 30 degrees plus like we are in Australia, so they leave the city, which leaves it open to tourists. Great time to go, and then there's also a winter opportunity, so you can see Central Park covered in snow, A couple of days later, it might go to sleep, but it is a beautiful sight, and you get all that magic in the winter. So
now, Mark, we've got a question from one of our viewers. You've actually been dubbed the musical man. And they've asked, is it better to buy Broadway tickets in advance or when they're there? Or both? What was your tip?
Yeah, sure. So if you buy it in advance, you'll pay about a 30% premium on the prices. You'll lock in your dates, but my suggestion is go to the ticket box, speak to them at the front, and they will absolutely give you the best seats in the house at the best rates at the time. So it's a good way to save money and get almost an upgrade to the front of the theatre, if that's what you're into.
Now, did you guys line up?
Sorry, I'm just going to break in just for 1 second. I want to know who made these Cosmos.
They're very
They're strong.
Yeah, I've actually given mine a fair nudge. They're quite strong. I'm feeling very jolly.
Thank you, whoever did.
Now, Trent, what do we have here in this jar?
So, for our viewers that are watching, as we said before, we're hosting a prize on LE Live, and we want our viewers to guess how many M&Ms are in there. And
is that before or after Mark had a few?
He's had a handful, but we counted how many that he had, so we know how many are in there as well. So feel free to contact us and comment and get your guesses in, because we've got a $100 LE gift card that you can use to get yourself to New York as well. So speaking about a little bit about the nightlife there and some of the bars, and again we're seeing Australians absolutely kill it there, but I absolutely love just letting the city kind of come to me instead of kind of forcing it. Just loved walking around. And what about you? Did you find any great restaurants or bars in your?
I'm a bit of a planner, particularly staying in Times Square. You kind of want to know where to go because it's so busy.
I'm a walk and wander, I guess. Yeah.
You're in a walk and wander district, so I was in Times Square. Everything's so huge and overwhelming and bright lights. I sort of want to know 1 or 2 bars tucked up my sleeve. So after any Broadway show, it's good to go to Bar Central. It's like a little bit hidden away, a little bit tucked away. So just download it on your phone, download the map. Google Maps will get you right there. So that's always good. Often also stars from Broadway shows will have a cocktail or two there after the show.
Okay.
So that's always a bit of a winner.
It's really cool actually when you're walking around the streets, and I'm a bit like Trent in that. Well, actually, I'm a combo of the two of you. I like to plan, but I also like the city to come to me.
Let it come to you.
But it's great when you're kind of walking through the streets and you kind of brought back to all those movies that you watched as a kid growing up, or the shows that you watched, and you kind of, that looks familiar, I wonder why, and then you remember it's part of like a scene from NYPD Blue or something, and then you discover like these little bars that are tucked away. It's kind of like Melbourne in that sense that it's like when you walk down the alleys and you find something new that it's not sort of well known to the tourists, and you kind of sort of tick that off and you're like, oh, I found something new.
So what was your bucket list thing that you needed to do in New York?
Oh, well, there's a few bucket lists. Obviously, the lady behind you is one to visit. I did get on the ferry with the masses.
I went down and saw it from Manhattan Island, and I was like, so where is it? I can't. It's actually quite small. But when you look at it from that far, so you actually went on the ferry.
I did go on the ferry, and I went out there for the day with my husband, and we did the tourist things. But I think one of my highlights, actually, other than the discovery of the city, was we hired a bike, and it's one of the cheapest things that you can do is we hired a bike at Central Park, and we literally just rode around the park for a couple of hours and just stopped and took photos and just absorbed it all. And then we went and had breakfast across the road at a place called Sarah Beth's, and beautiful sort of white colonial building, and you walk in and we sort of ordered the breakfast, and then and this is no joke, I turned to the side and Tony Bennett was eating breakfast at the table next to us.
We should have played Tony Bennett today.
We should have, so that was kind of like a highlight. But I think just really getting out there and walking the streets, it's the best way to discover
Now,
New
Mark,
York.
some of our viewers are actually wondering how many M&Ms are in this jar, so they're looking for that prize, that $100 gift card to an LE Getaway. So, Mark, could you just lift that up and give us a bit of a shake?
Give it a bit of a shake.
I'll hold the pizza for you, Mark.
Okay.
That's actually his whole second pizza he's eaten today.
We were looking at doing Junior Mints for those Seinfeld fans out there. New York is fantastic for Seinfeld tours. If you're into Sex and the City, you can see all the famous spots. So
would you be the Samantha out of the group if Sex and the City out of the four?
The equivalent analysis in Seinfeld. But
okay, all right, got you. Yeah.
But you can do the Cosmo reality tour. You can see the Soup Nazi stand where they used to be. You can go up to Monk's Diner.
One of my bucket list things was actually going to Tom's Diner up there and got a little photo as well.
Loved it.
Yeah.
So we've got the
big salad.
M&Ms here if everyone wants to have a look, get a sense of what's in here. Again, just in the Facebook comments, just write in the number of M&Ms you think we have in here. And
we had
the winner-
one guess from a gentleman, I think, where they had 800 M&Ms. So I think that's, it's ballpark.
It's
around,
in the territory, it's warm.
Is it
So,
Price is Right rules? Is it that you have to select, right, you have to be under,
Thanks.
right?
I'm just quickly going to go to some of our comments from our listeners or watchers. So Anthony Galana says, my tip is just one activity a day to really appreciate it. Don't race the moment. That's a great tip. I really think you can kind of get overwhelmed by New York. It's such a concrete jungle and there's so much to do and see. So I think that's a great tip, Anthony. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Dobinson, walk along the High Line.
I've heard about this. This is the old railway,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
To Brooklyn,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the High Line is actually in Chelsea in the meatpacking district. So it's you go upstairs near the Chelsea Market. You walk all from basically the downtown to Central, and there's street vendors there.
Yeah.
Really good recommendation, actually.
And did you go to any of the sporting events? Obviously, we've got Madison Square Garden there.
Yes, I saw the Knicks win at Madison Square Garden, so that
Right.
was
I saw the Knicks lose at
incredible.
Madison Square Garden
Oh,
too. They actually
not
got
so
beaten
good.
by Brooklyn, yeah.
Don't go again.
The day before, I went and saw the Rangers. Funnily enough, they lost as well. But it's incredible that they can go from one Friday night ice rink, the next day basketball court. Incredible.
Even if
Yeah.
you're not a sports fan, go see a
Yeah.
sport, see
Definitely.
baseball, see ice hockey, see basketball. It's more about what happens at halftime. It's more about the whole
Yeah.
exciting vibe of it rather than the actual sport itself.
And
So-
the food. I mean, we went to the Yankees game at Yankee Stadium, and just being there, I think, was overwhelming in itself. But you go to the cafes during sort of, I don't know what it's, halftime or whatever it's called, and hot dogs the size of Gibraltar. You've got drinks that are sort of yard
Pretzels.
glasses and pretzels, and
Make
you
me
just want
thirsty.
one of everything really, just to kind of be the real tourist. But yeah, great experience.
Great. And a viewer question. Milton Barnes asked our music man over here, what musicals should I see on Broadway?
Well, there's the classics, so you can see Phantom of the Opera. I think Chicago is the longest running musical in Broadway as
Yeah.
well. Wicked is one that's quite popular with a number of people. Personally, it wasn't one of my favourites, but if you get a chance, I think Avenue Q, if that's
Okay.
still around, that's an off-Broadway with an adult version of the Muppets, where with these Muppets are drinking alcohol and swearing. Quite fun.
Cosmopolitans, yeah.
But while you're there, it's also worth trying to see if you can get into any of the talk shows as well. So has anyone been to any of the talk shows?
I saw the lineup. I remember walking past. It was a cold night, and I've just gone, oh, yeah. We'll find somewhere warm. I went to the How I Met Your Mother bar instead. But
wow.
yeah, did you go?
I had previously. I was lucky enough to see one of David Letterman's final
Yep.
shows, so he was
Oh,
always
really?
a favourite growing up. So
We keep kicking ourselves. We actually were out the front and people were handing out tickets, and we thought it was like one of
scam
those
or
scams,
something?
and so
Yeah.
we walked past, and then when we came back, Tom Cruise was actually one of the
Really?
guest stars that day. Yeah,
His
so
loss.
yeah, we talk about it all the time. That time we missed out on seeing
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. So yeah.
fantastic.
Did you see any while you were there? Ashley?
No, not for me. We weren't there for a long time. We were there for 7 days, but only
Okay.
5 of them were staying in New York, so time was tight. I
Yeah.
spent my time at
And the guesses are coming through thick and fast. I think we've had a few over 1,000. I'm going to go on a limb and say it is under 1,000, if I'm allowed to say that.
Very
Maybe
close in
just-
that
Yeah.
region. We've
Yeah.
got
We're getting
someone, Colin
pretty
Powell,
close.
on 2,565. Not
Yeah.
related to Colin Powell.
It's ballpark.
But
Colleen,
that's
it's,
quite on the high side. So
Yeah.
ballpark 1,000, I think.
And one thing we haven't really mentioned is the pizza. The best pizza I've ever had in my life. I used to walk home from a night out, and we used to go to this dodgy pizza place, and the guy was so rude, kind of like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. He was
Nazi.
so rude that every night we'd go there and we'd want to boycott and go, we're never going back there. But once we got home and tasted the pizza, yeah,
Stole the
it was
pizzas?
no, well, depending on what time of the night it was, he would charge us more, depending on how jolly we looked. So I think one night it was $5.
He made off you.
Yeah, smart man. Yes,
He's a great businessman.
Yeah,
It's like the dodgier the Chinatown dumplings are, the better. So it's the equivalent
Yeah.
in New York, where every second pizza parlour is Ray's Pizza, Ray's
Yeah.
Famous Pizza, Ray's Extraordinary Pizza. They're all called Ray, but there is a place called Italy, if anyone's heard of Italy.
Italy.
Italy's
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, so that's near the Flatiron Building.
my favorite building
That's
of the
my
city.
favourite
The
building.
Flatiron,
by
so
far.
just next
Anywhere
to
It's
it.
actually my Facebook profile. That
Is it? If anyone wants to see
Look
Trent's
at
Yes,
Facebook,
Trent Dash.
sure.
hashtag
sure.
dashing. So, but just to remind everyone once again that we have an incredible New York offer. It's the Renaissance by Marriott it doesn't come along very often to have an offer to go to New York City. Literally, it's half the price that you could get yourself. You get breakfast included. If you've got kids under 12, you can bring 2 of them at no additional cost as well. So fantastic opportunity. It's live on Luxury Escapes at the moment. Keep guessing, because someone is going to win a fabulous $100 voucher to Luxury Escapes.
I can actually see my mum comment on there. I gave her the answer before, so no, you can't win.
Can't win if you're related.
Now, hang on, can I just get this right? Sorry, I need to get this right, but is your mum hosting a little drinks at her place to watch you go live on LE today?
Yeah, she's pretty excited.
Hi, Trent's mum.
I kind of said that. I told her that I'd made it, and this is actually a network television show. So, yeah, hello, mum, out there. I'm sure you're watching and screaming a little bit.
So you're very proud of your boy. Sorry to embarrass you there, Trent.
We've got another comment as well, just moving completely away from that. Brad Crane, the Hunter Curtis Cafe in Flatiron is amazing. I haven't been to that one, but again, Flatiron being my absolute favourite building in New York. So.
Have you got any tips for us on, I saw a comment come through for any tips on fave restaurants in New York?
Not so much on favourite restaurants around where our beautiful hotel is, but I think staying at a very good hotel is probably key to having a good experience, because they can make your dinner reservations, they can order a cab for you, they can help you sort out the subway, they sort of make everything smoother and easier. So I think that's probably, it's a big city and it can be easy. Like, you don't want to burn time on your holiday sorting your life out, you want someone to sort it out for you. So I think good hotel, good concierge is probably my top tip.
Wonderful.
I actually couldn't believe when they say it really is the city that never sleeps. It was actually quite true. I mean, I remember having dinner at, I think, 1 a.m. one night, because everything is still open. So I just love that aspect about it, just walking around and seeing what's kind of open. But yeah, definitely very, very passionate, as we all are. But I think from the team at Luxury Escapes, we're all very excited to have this offering on live on LE, and to talk about it on LE Live has been fantastic. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming, especially all our colleagues in the office as well. Mark, thank you very much. And
you're welcome.
yeah, great to see that on Luxury Escapes. Sonia, always a pleasure.
Thank
and
you,
Ashley,
Trent.
so from all of us here, thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you in New York.